Vitavika. Who is it by? What do you think?
James Hood.
What do you think? Trying to rack our brains of it right now. So, if you don't know about Vitavika, it's a show meant for bless you.
Oops.
Meant for a dome. And
Show meant for a dome.
so it's a show meant for a dome. It's like a visual piece, and it's obviously, I think, by someone who wanted us to tap into the magic of our existence. Has a lot of the cues from like more spiritual context of existence, right? And joy, happiness, being a hero in the world. I think it had a pretty good message, you know. I think it falls into the pitfall of a lot of spirituality, which is, and I consider myself spiritual by nature because I subscribe to a lot of different things from a lot of different religions and spiritual practices, but not necessarily a certain one. And I'm not atheist or agnostic because I do believe that God is just a different concept than one singular sect of a religion. Yes, critiquing my own ideas as well. But I would say the pitfall is that you go, you do drugs. Thanks, babe. And you're doing so many things right now.
Yeah.
Do you want me to help you?
Sure.
Do you want me to drive?
No, it's okay.
You go, you do drugs. You see a little bit beyond the veil, I always like to say, especially specifically psychedelics. And I say it's a little bit of enlightenment in a bottle, right? A little taste of it. And sometimes that's why I think people have bad trips. Sometimes they just take too much. Sometimes their ego is not ready to let go and let God, as we say, and let the trip do its thing. And so you have a vicious ego death because you're still trying to hold on to the duality of yourself. And so in this process, it was a lot like the things that you might see on, especially on reported like DMT trips. It seemed like, you know, just passing through portals and all the sacred architecture is really cool stuff. But I think a pitfall of it is that I think people are also searching for substance. I think a lot of the times we can stop at kind of like a watered down spiritual mindset where it's love and light and joy and peace, and that's all there is to your existence. And if it's not, then you're stuck in the matrix, which I don't think allows for the complexity that life really brings. So I would have loved to see like some clips of some stuff happening in our planet, because he was talking about like this was a trip through the human experience, but it was kind of just like cool shit happening on the screen, you know, cool shapes and stuff. And I would have liked to see a little bit more of the human experience or any life experience, because I think you could have, there's a lot of things that reminisce for me of like the quantum world, right? Like the micro organisms, the different mathematical structures that just go into infinity. Stuff like that. I think that's really cool. I think that we could have used that, and I think he could have talked about like, this is your brain zoomed in. This is the neurons firing. They send electrical whatever. Like, you know, if we're going through the human experience, just trying to get it to be a little, there needs to be a little more depth, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, like I, my vessel, am not just my vessel, I'm one with everything. And then they kind of just stop there. But it's like, that is so ungraspable. You'll be working on it forever. And that's the point, dare I say. I know you're not supposed to say there's a point, but in my mind, I think the point is that it's ungraspable. You can try to conceptualize it as much as you want, put it into words as much as you want, but it's an experience. It's something to be felt. Exactly. We just said the same thing at the same time. And so I think in that vein, it's so deep, you know? And so when it feels so surface level, I think simple things are good. But when it's like so surface level that it's just like,
Kind of fell a little flat.
yeah, it did fall a little flat. It's kind of like, okay, well, what is the point? Not that you're gonna get the meaning of life from this, you know, but also it's a little more. There's a little more to existence than just like, you know, looking at cool things. At the very least, that's what we've spawned into, guys. I know some people might be like, no, like that's really all it is. It's just like cool stuff, infinity happening, and it's just like, you know, blah blah blah. And you know, I agree with you in some circumstances, but also we can't ignore the state, the economic and political state of the world, just the state of existence that we find ourselves in now. That is the whole point of, if you believe in all that, why we incarnated here now. It was not to ignore and retreat. What's the word I'm looking for? Cope, you know? It was to also bring what you are to this realm of existence and to affect change through that way. So I did like what he was saying. I wish he would have said maybe a little bit more, and I wish some of the visuals would have been more than just like, oh, this would be sick if I was tripping balls, or it makes me feel like I'm tripping balls, you know? That's my in-depth hot take of Utivica. What do you think, babe?
Yes, as a whole, agree. I feel like there were some Band-Aid statements where there could have been, I mean, it's important to acknowledge, sure. However, there's some work to be done.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and how much can you put into
A 50-minute show.
a 50-minute show?
Well, how much did you get away from that 50-minute show, though, is also the question.
That's a great question.
That's what I'm saying. More than that is what I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
And
But
I feel like I didn't enjoy it.
I feel like fell flat is a little bit just
That's a good, yeah.
because I mean it was a good time.
It was a good
It was
time.
cool to look
It was
at.
very-
There were some cool visuals.
I think to me, knowing that you're saying all the buzzwords and stuff, right? Like he was saying all the buzzwords. And so it's like, okay, I'm expecting that a little bit more something, substance to the buzzwords that you're saying too. Like, show me some love, you know? Show me some heroic stuff. Show me some, when they were doing there's like these moments where people like formed out of the stars and then like disappeared. And I was like, that's literally us, you know? All of our little particles form together. We pull up here and then we're gone. We disperse back to wherever. And I remember thinking, like, is that entity, like, does that exist? Did it all collect there to make that person? Or was the person made because it was all collected, you know? And that was early. And I was like, oh shit, like, we're getting into it. This is fire. It's making me think. And then, you know, most of it, though, was just like, you know, like those videos you look at if you're like, what does it look like to trip balls? Tripping visuals. If you looked up tripping visuals and you put it on a dome, I think that'd be
Feel peace,
joy,
gratitude,
kindness. I actually like the kindness bit. Kindness, it's brave.
most courageous choice you could ever make.
And then show us why, or you know, explain. You know, you can't just like say something. You know, I think that's my problem. Is you can't just like say something
Yeah.
and then be like,
It was just it was all too surface level.
it is too surface.
It would have been nicer to have a little, you know, bit of a deeper dive. And I mean, maybe that was.
And to me, it wasn't scratching at the surface. It was just kind of looking at it. You know, because like to me, I was also thinking like, okay, this is probably a good introduction for most people into this kind of thing, right? Where it's like you're hearing these more spiritual ideals. And you know, guys, honestly, let's be honest, community, you know we love some trippy visuals, and you know we love some drugs sometimes, you know? It's lit. It's great. Sometimes we don't. That's okay, too. But I think it would have been nice as well. Girl, you better on. I'm about to fight. Sorry, car just drifted into our lane. hazard, guys. Drive safe. I think it would have been helpful though for those people who were just getting introduced to that to like see like one practical application of what he's talking about. You know, it could be a fucking sick design. Like you could have like a really cool animal interacting with like some really cool boring looking tree or something. I don't fucking know. You know, that's for him to decide. But I think that the visuals could have made more things happen. And I also think it's nice, like, I think if he just wanted to provide a break to people, that's one thing, but it felt a lot more like a call to action. So it's like, I'd like to see more things about this call to action.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like there was quite a bit more that he could have done, because there were some sections, like you were saying, where like, you know, the outlines of the people were formed out of, you know, all these little particles, but then other times it felt like, you know, the like screensaver that you could put on whenever you listen to music in like 2007?
Right, yes.
It was like that. And I was like, well, I saw this 20 years ago.
You're seeing like the paint flow together and stuff.
And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But then there were other times where it was so much more complex. And so I feel like there could have been more done there.
It's like some kaleidoscope stuff.
There we go. Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Damn. Bless them. Hope they're doing alright. Also, I think, what were we just talking about? Oh, portals. There was like some cool portals where we're going different places, but sometimes the different places was just like one kaleidoscope thing to another, or like one paint thing to another. It's like, where are we going? You know?
Sometimes it felt like edging too, because did you notice that too? It was so.
It's like, oh shit.
We're about to go all the way through it, and then as soon as we were almost at the end of the portal or into the portal, it would like completely fade to something.
It would shift,
different.
Some of the transitions were interesting, Some of them made me think. I think that, you know, part of it's like, okay, this is like such a blank canvas that you fill in your own shit, you know, which is fine. I don't mind that art form in general. I guess I was just looking for more direction. I think there's a point where there's like a bunch of those like spheres in a line. And they're like black and purple. I kind of fucked with that. And I was like, I wonder why I fuck with that. It's like, you know, is this the order that we're craving out of all the like kind of chaotic flow stuff that we've seen so far? Like, what is it? What does life demand more? What do we appreciate more? Is it the order? Is it the flow? You know, I was thinking about kind of stuff like that. But I can't tell you that's what he wanted me to think. I can't tell you if he wanted me to think anything besides joy and love, you know? Yeah. Halfway through, I was like, man, this is gonna be all it is, huh? That's tough.
And it was, it was hard to come to terms with that, and for me, because it was like, come on, I thought we had more to this.
Comparison's a thief of joy, but dare I say, I think we look deeper at most things than a percentage of people. We'll say that. Might not be a lot, might not be a little, who knows what it is, who knows what the percentage is. But I think a lot of people, if we felt this way, we're probably like, okay, well, that was a fucking waste. Like, you could feel the energy too when it ended, that it was like, oh, okay, it's over for sure. Well, guess I'll just go back to whatever I was saying. Like, I didn't feel changed, I didn't feel transformed. There's a lot of art and media and stuff that makes you feel like that at the end. And this one, I felt like its purpose was to do that intrinsically. And I didn't feel that way at all. But I felt like it wanted me to. But it's like, why do you want me to? Based off of that, you know, it's like...
It had all the ingredients to be a lovely cake. And then we just ended up, at the very end, was like...
Didn't put it in the oven. Kind of just made like a mold out of the cake batter. And like made like several layers and put some frosting on it for sure. The outside looked good, and then you cut into it and you're like, this isn't even a cake at all, is it? It's just batter.
More like, it was like, and the cake is complete, but we didn't see it.
and it was not there. Everybody's like, okay, where's the cake? And they're like, the cake is the love and the joy that we feel from being alive every day, which is dope, you know. I think what we're running into is the dilemma of fucking with a lot of things and resonating with a lot of things that it seems we're trying to be conveyed, but at the heart of hearts of it, not.
Yeah.
So, what out of 5? How many stars would you give it? I feel bad ranking something. My belief is critique comes from the ego too.
See, and I kept trying to remind myself of like, why do I have such high expectations in this moment?
Right.
Like, let's try to remove all of them and see how this experience is, because
I kept trying to do that too.
Not
but that should tell you something.
To be, what do you think that should tell us?
Like, why should I have to do that? There are so many pieces of media, like I've been to so many theaters with a less cool idea and not had to be like, I shouldn't be placing anything on this.
Yeah.
You know? I shouldn't think this is dumb. It's, you know, it's for me. I'm dumb for thinking that it's dumb.
I literally had a moment where, I had to remind myself, like, okay, well, maybe just, remove expectations for the 3rd time. And then I was like, wait, why am I trying to force?
Yeah, why am I not
I can just feel how I feel about this.
Exactly.
It doesn't I don't have to be like, well, maybe it's my fault because my expectations are too high.
That's the trap we get caught in, too. When it comes to the spiritual stuff, a part of what I have a hard time with, too, is the idea of enlightenment. I'll say it 1,000 times. It can't be necessarily contextualized, because it's not necessarily a concept, which is tough, but I think it's so rewarding, the experience of it, should one attend it, because I think that if you hear words of enlightenment, that you will eventually reach that understanding and that experience. And the whole point is that no one else's conception of enlightenment can fit your own. It's different. It's unique for everyone by design, I believe. And so in that same vein, though, I think somebody kind of put a nice button on an aspect of it, which is that enlightenment is not ignoring the way you feel about something. It's experiencing every bit of the emotional spectrum without judgment and letting it pass and flow without rigid control, which then also in turn gives you more control over your emotional state and how you choose to react to things externally, which is a little bit of a paradox, but that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what enlightenment is. It's when you think about a paradox, you can think like, oh, this is it. That's what I like to think. I find a paradox in the world, and I'm like, boom, this is the thing I can't put into words, that I can't conceptualize. Like, this is a part of the grand scheme of it. As everything, but whatever. So I think too, it's like for us to suppress and be like, no, it's more, we've confused enlightenment for like intellectualism, to be like, it's more intellectual for me to view this from a different lens and try to make it better for myself. Hey Light Tribe, Male Megwa, thank you guys for tuning in to our review of Beautifica. That today she's probably going to be on the channel a little bit more often. If you like these types of videos, please leave a comment and subscribe. Our subscriber count's growing. Let's go. Over 70 now. I don't remember what number we're at exactly, but we're just going to keep building and cultivating a community, baby. That's what we all about. If no one's told you today, or if everyone has, just know I'm proud of you. I love you, and I trust you to keep being your best self. And as always, God bless, Wa love, Yah guide, and be new. Or whatever you'd like to be. And I will see you guys on the next video.